It looks like the June NBA draft will include Joe Smith. Maryland's All-American center will reportedly announce his plans to make himself eligible for the NBA on Friday. The 6'10 sophomore has an ordinary name, but not his game. He averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds and led Maryland to the Final 16 of this year's NCAA tournament. He capped it all off by winning the 1995 Naismith Award as college basketball's premier player. The clean-shaven look is, of course, in vogue on the court these days, and so too off the court as these fans came with shiny tops in Phoenix. Spurs and Suns in a classic desert duel. Big game for David Robinson. The visiting Spurs looking good early. Just before the half, the long pass to Charles Barkley. Behind the arc, and yes, give him 3. 61 all. He had 24 points. Robinson working one-on-one with Sir Charles. Barkley would foul out. And the Admiral would score 25 points to keep the Spurs in it, but the Suns don't fade. They go on a 9-0 run late. Wesley Person with 3 there. And then a 2-point game late when Wayman Tisdale off the bench and off the board for the 4th straight win for the Suns. They're a game and a half back now of San Antonio for the best record in the West. The Sacramento Kings are still hanging around for a possible Western Conference playoff spot, hosting the Lakers in purple and gold. Nick Van Exel with the excellent pass to Cedric Ceballos. Mitch Richmond guarded well here by Tony Smith, but going to draw contact. Fade away, and he hits 31 all early. Now to the 4th. Kings breaking. Sam Bowie blocks the shot. Tony Smith is going to get a layup at the other end, uncontested, and the Laker bench was happy because the Lakers were down by just 2. Now the Kings add to their lead. Defensive turnover by Cedric Ceballos, and Randy Brown takes care of it. The Kings are a half game up on Denver for the 8th and final Western Conference playoff.
Grant Hill of Detroit and Michael Jordan of Chicago went head-to-head. Jordan first to show his skill, cutting through the lane for the 2 points for the Bulls in red. But rookie Hill came right back to fake out Jordan and lay it in. 3rd quarter, Jordan again in possession. The soft double team from Hill, something you can't afford to do with Mr. Jordan around. The Bulls up by 6. But Detroit weren't finished. Allen Houston spinning away from Jordan, and the alley-oop to Hill. 4th quarter, Jordan pulled up in the lane and hit the jumper. The Bulls continue to soar. The Charlotte Hornets gave New Jersey a lesson. Little Muggsy Bogues leaving it over his shoulder for Larry Johnson as part of a 30-4 run. The Nets were way off the mark. Kenny Anderson with the bad miss there. In the second, Alonzo Mourning showed his range, stepping out for the long 2. Then LJ stole it from Anderson. The dribble, the spin, and the basket. Great move. Hersey Hawkins then fed the lob to Mourning, who took great delight in this one. A crushing win for the Hornets. In other games, Washington suffered their 12th defeat in a row, the latest at the hands of Steve Smith and the Atlanta Hawks, while Golden State sank a 1-game league record of 17 three-pointers in a convincing win over Minnesota. Let's take a look at how those results affect the standings.
In the America's Cup waters starts
Beijing, some rain showers as well as mostly cloudy there. Moving over to Seoul, you're looking at sunshine in 17 Celsius. Now onto the continent of Australia, where a trough of low pressure just through the northeast section of Australia, through the continent, is going to bring some showers. However, high pressure continues to dominate right here in the Tasman Sea, bringing nice conditions to New Zealand. Another day of dry day, I should say. Over into the western section of Australia, well, you can see just a rain activity. It is going to be windy, though, if I step back just a bit along this frontal system out into the ocean as that cold front moves through. Now onto the forecast for some cities across Australia. Darwin, you're looking at 33 Celsius and partly cloudy skies. Nice day there. Over into the eastern section, Sydney, looking at partly cloudy skies, 21 Celsius. And there's New Zealand. Auckland, you're dry, as well as Christchurch, 14 Celsius. Now on to Europe, where a frontal system stretches clear from the North Sea all the way across Scandinavia. Ridge of high pressure here is preventing Great Britain from seeing any rain. You will see a mixture of snow and rain showers through here. Rain through Central Europe. Now on to North America, where we'll see some showers through the west as well as through the plains.
celebrating a decade of achievement. This is CNN International.
No, not rest and relaxation, but Robinson and Rodman, as in David and Dennis. Dennis Rodman is back from a shoulder injury that kept him out of 14 games. He didn't miss a beat against the Sacramento Kings Friday. Dennis in the white, grabbing the rebound, getting the break. Started Avery Johnson to Sean Elliott. Spurs by 9 and in control, thanks to Rodman. However, that injury acted up and he left the game. Was it serious? No. This tough guy came right back and showed how tough he was, mixing it up with Olden Polynice, scrapping, scraping, and throwing each other around. No technicals. The game goes on, and Rodman goes on with the slam. Now watch Dennis again grab the rebound, take it up court. What do you do, big guy? Pass it to David Robinson, who slams. Robinson had 32 points, 16 rebounds. Rodman, 15 boards, as San Antonio beat Sacramento by 10. Let's go to Denver. Charles Barkley introducing himself to the mascot with a high five. No, with a hard left. The nugget goes down. Here's Reggie Williams putting down a layup. Denver at home in the white, beating up the Suns. They led by as many as 18, despite that slam by A.C. Green. Now Denver in action again. Rodney Rogers, with the sweet left three-pointer. It's a three. His teammates like that. They like this too. Dikembe to Bryant Stith, who lays it home. The Nuggets win big, 102-87. The mascot beat up, but appeared to be okay. With a week remaining in the regular season, teams are still fighting for the best possible playoff position. The way the NBA format works, the top seed plays the bottom, so 1 versus 8, number 2 versus 7, and so on down the line. That means Denver and Sacramento, who meet a week from Sunday in the season finale, could determine who goes on and who goes home with that game.
While the Bulls, Magic, and Knicks are getting most of the attention in the East, the Charlotte Hornets are battling the Indiana Pacers for their first division championship in history. And Friday night, they traveled to Detroit to play the Pistons. The Hornets had some help from the Knicks and Derek Harper. There's Chuck Daly. Look at him. Nice quaff, Chuck. And that is Grant Hill finishing it off with the slam. The Pistons by 2. Then the Hornets get it down low. That is Alonzo Mourning. You know what he does? He finishes it off. They are tied early. But then watch the play by the big 7-footer. The Chief makes the steal. Yes, he will go coast to coast. Robert Parrish finishing it off. And Parrish one more time coming through for the Hornets as he goes with the fadeaway. And that too finds the bottom. 94-86, Charlotte over Detroit. And we go to the Hawks and the Cavs. These fans creating a problem. These guys were out of there. Into the third period, Steve Coulter with a nice dish to Hot Rod Williams for the jam. The Cavs by 7. And to the end of the third we go. Steve Smith, I don't know what he's thinking here. He gets out of hand, throws the ball downtown, gets a technical. Lenny Wilkins fights it. He gets 2 technicals. He's out of there. And into the fourth we go. And Steve Coulter, watch this. And another nice feed to Tyrone Hill. The Thunder on the baseline. Hill with 16 points. The final, 83-70 Cleveland. And we go to some scores. New York, they had some help. The Hornets getting some help from the Knicks as Derek Harper hit a 3-pointer with 7 seconds remaining for the win. Pat Riley's team's on a 4-game roll. Milwaukee's loss leaves them 2 games behind the Celtics for the last playoff spot in the East. And here's how the Eastern Conference playoff race looks. With 5 games remaining for most teams, Cleveland is in. Atlanta almost locked. Boston is going to be hard to beat. They have a 2-game advantage over Milwaukee and 3 over Miami.
What a win for Real Madrid. Forget football for a moment. We're talking basketball. For the first time in 15 years, the Spanish side won Europe's most prestigious title when they beat Olympiacos of Greece in the European Champions Club final. Who's the best big man in the world? How about Arvydas Sabonis? Well over 2 meters tall. The catch, the pass. Oh, that's a slam dunk in any league. Madrid and their fans in Zaragoza fired up, so to speak. Another easy basket coming up. 2 more easy points. Madrid defeats Olympiacos 73-61. However, the defeat did not go over well with fans in Greece. An estimated 1,000 of them clashed with police after Friday's loss. They threw flares, set fire to cars, and smashed dozens of store windows in an area south of Athens. There were no immediate reports of arrests or injuries. This is the second straight season Olympiacos has reached the final, only to lose to a Spanish team. In the northern Greek city of Salonika, fans of rival team PAOK took to the streets to celebrate Olympiacos' loss. Banners read, "Thank you, Real." Still ahead, the winds of world sport blow the breezy Catalonia Open in your direction. Who's the king of Spain on the golf course?
And
One of the great upsets in NBA playoff history. In your face, Kevin Johnson. Oh,
Watch exciting NBA action on these stations in your local area.
that's afraid to mix it up. But Barkley mixed it up one too many times and was called for his 6th flagrant foul on Friday, went over the league limit, which resulted in an automatic one-game suspension. Not good timing in the midst of a playoff race and with the Lakers coming to town. And that is the notorious Easter Gorilla Bunny watching out over the Suns. And former Suns Cedric Ceballos was on fire against his old team. He fired in threes. And then he goes underneath for the reverse layup. He had 24 points in the first half. And watch this team work.
To Ceballos, and he gets another three, his 4th and a half. The ball to
Ceballos goes to Campbell with a no-look to Vlade Divac. And the Lakers by 13 at the break. End of the third period we go, and the Suns come back. That's Dan Marley with the loose ball, and he throws it behind his back. And AC Green finishes it for the Jam. Then the Lakers lead down to 4. And that is Marley, who had 4 three-pointers down the stretch. He finished with 28 points. Ceballos had 40 in the loss for the Lakers. The Suns win 119-114. And we go to more scores, which is what Glenn Rice did better than anyone else this year. He scored 56 points, breaking the 55.
To move into a tie for the final playoff spot Tuesday night. The Phoenix Suns made sure that idea vanished, and vanished fast. Phil Mickelson in Phoenix for this one did not need his clubs. The Suns in white had all their shots working. This one didn't, but look at Charles Barkley there. Show you what I mean. Sacramento in black on the attack. Not for long. They throw it away. Shays picks it up to Marley. Thunder Dan with the Thunder Jam. Phoenix led by 15 at the half, as if you couldn't tell. Barkley again gets it up and gets it down. Looks for the foul, doesn't get it, but he would on this one. Michael Smith trying to defend. No luck. Charles pumps, draws the foul, hits the bucket. This one goes the Suns' way, 111-101. Barkley, 28 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. The Kings had their chance to pull even with Denver for that final playoff spot as the Nuggets lost in San Antonio. But now Sacramento has to look not only ahead at Denver, but over their shoulder at the moving Mavericks. Dallas beat the Clippers. That means the Mavs are 2 games behind Sacramento and 3 behind Denver, with 3 left in the regular season. Whichever team gets in earns an opening round series with most likely San Antonio. CNN's Fred Hickman takes a closer look at the Kings-Nuggets fight for the right to play on in the playoffs.
Perhaps the most enduring snapshot of last season's playoffs was the one of Dikembe Mutombo, flat on his back, clutching the ball as a father clutches his newborn. His Denver Nuggets pulling off the upset of top-seeded Seattle in the first round. But with the promise of bigger and better things to come this season, somebody mined the trail. The Nuggets stumbled into All-Star break, 6 games under 500, 5 games out of the playoffs. Fire? Well, plenty of that down the road in Sacramento. The Kings shocked the world in the first half, 5 above 500, a probability of making the playoffs for the first time in 9 years. They won their first 3 post-All-Star break games, and then the Kings dropped 5 straight on the road, and the floodgates were wide open. By the time the waters crested, the Kings were into a 12-21 slump and fighting for their very playoff lives. Part of their problem became the fact that they were no longer sneaking up on opposing teams.
World Series now. Okay, let's try to get some off this break.
The Nuggets would do an about-face February 20th, the day Bernie Bickerstaff took over the reins as head coach. He prescribed vitamin D complex to his young club, defense, and discipline, attempting to prove that last season was no fluke.
When Bernie came, everybody seemed like picked up the energy, you know, emotion went high, and we started to play like we could play.
And so, down the stretch they come, each with a shot at a postseason berth and all the goodies which go along with it.
It's exciting. The people in Denver are waiting for it, and we're just ready to make things happen.
I think if we get to the playoffs, the city will blow up.
Even the schedule maker has gotten into the fun. Sacramento closes the regular season next Sunday in Denver. The stakes in this game might well be winner take all. Fred Hickman, CNN Sports.
These Lakers, but after Tuesday night's meeting between the two teams, the Lakers must be glad there's still a week to go in the regular season. The Sonics controlled the game from the outset, built up a 37-point lead in the third quarter, and they coasted home from there. To Los Angeles, who's the money man for the Sonics? Why, it's Gary Payton, of course. Payton, 3 of his 17 first quarter points. Second quarter, more of the same. Following the Laker turnover, Sonics on the break. Kendall Gill finds Gary Payton for the layup. And then it's Payton again, using Tony Campbell for the turnaround jumper, and the Sonics were up by 30 at halftime. Third quarter action, Payton, and cutting the lane, draws the hack off the glass. He had 28 points, final 113-97, Sonics. Elsewhere,
Watch exciting NBA action on these stations in your local area.
Scotty is very large inside.
It's going to be different every week.
The King of Talk has come to weekends.
Take it away, Jay Leno. We're going to try to be a little offbeat.
Oh, stop saying things about people.
And it's going to be more free-for-all.
Weights. Work out with weights.
You turn down ballet, by the way. God, I would go crazy if the show were politics only.
Television will never be the same.
You be the judge.
Larry's working the weekend.
Oh, come on, this beats work.
Sunday on CNN International.
Gotta get out of here.
The age-old method of glass crafting goes high-tech, etching images with a whirlwind of opportunities, proving what you see is not always what you get. On Future Watch, only on CNN International.
Good to have you back. On to basketball, where Real Madrid won the European Champions Club Cup for the first time in 15 years. The Spaniards playing the Greek club Olympiacos. Real leaned on Arvydas Sabonis. Sabonis scored a game-high 23 points. They also held the Greeks' main shooter, Eddie Johnson, to only 9 points to win Europe's most prestigious basketball tournament by 12. The Greeks lost the final, but had some consolation in the consolation match, where another Greek club, Panathinaikos, were 14-point winners. The NBA champion Houston Rockets welcomed back Hakeem Olajuwon, who missed 8 games with anemia. Also, Vernon Maxwell, he too is back. But the Trailblazers didn't have a real nice greeting for him. Otis Thorpe for the jam. The Blazers by 7 early in the first. Then Olajuwon with the nice move in the lay-in. The Blazers by 3 at the half. And we go into the third. Then Hakeem with the patented fall-away jumper for 2 of his 35 points. We're all tied at 83. Then in the fourth, the Rockets pull away. Sam Cassell with the steal. And he goes long to Clyde the glide, and you know what he does. He finishes it off in classic Drexler form. The Rockets by 8. The final, 112-99, Houston Rockets. And Olajuwon makes all the difference. Clyde Drexler, of course, he helped too. He had 23 points. Seattle had 73 points by halftime. They've got the Mavs number, 8 straight over Dallas. The Utah Jazz tied a team record with their 55th win of the season. The Nuggets moved into a tie with Sacramento, who are battling for the Western Conference's 8th and final playoff spot.
The Orlando Magic and Boston Celtics could be on a collision course in the playoffs. Orlando have already clinched the East Division title, and Boston have a 1-game lead over Milwaukee for the final spot. So if the Celtics hang on, then Thursday night was a sneak preview of a round 1 matchup in the playoffs. And wouldn't the Celtics like to repeat this effort? Early on, it was the Magic, though. Penny Hardaway dishes to Horace Grant for the easy 2, and the Magic up by 2 early. Second quarter, Hardaway fakes a pass, nice move, drives untouched for the jam, and the Celtics up by 1. Third quarter, and it's Celtics time. Holding tough, Derek Strong takes a dish from Sherman Douglas and slams it for 2 of his 18 points. Fourth quarter, Brian Shaw misses the jumper. Hardaway the night touch pass to Shaquille O'Neal for the stuff. Shaq had 26. But then D. Brown, the huge 3-pointer, and that tied it at 111. And then Dino Radja hits the jumper in traffic to ice it. 29 points for Radja. The Celtics win it by a final of 119 to 114. So the Celtics winning for the 6th time in 7 games. Elsewhere, the Miami Heat rallied from a 15-point fourth-quarter deficit to edge out the Cleveland Cavaliers. In New York, the Knicks beat Washington by 10. Patrick Ewing a game-high 25 points. And New Jersey's playoff hopes took another nosedive.
Sampdoria in the blue and on the attack. Mancini all alone with keeper David Seaman. That's a mismatch. A little chip in for the 1-0 lead. Sampdoria in the 14th. Stayed that way until the 62nd when Arsenal's Ian Wright scored off the corner, 1-1. Wright has scored in every leg of every tie. That's never been done before in a European club tournament. To the 84th, Sampdoria sub Claudio Bellucci comes through with the header for the Spanish side. That puts it into a 4-all aggregate draw. 2-1 Sampdoria in the match. Was he fired up or what? Go, Claudio, go! 2 minutes later, he strikes again. Great through pass, past the keeper. 3-1 and 5-4 on aggregate Sampdoria. But in the final minute, Swiss international Stefan Schwarz with the miraculous equalizer from 30 meters away, and we're level at 5 on aggregate. That put it into the penalty shootout. We pick it up with Arsenal up 2-1, 3-1 after that goal. Sampdoria now down 3-2 and facing elimination. Walter Zenga denies Paul Merson, and Sampdoria with one last chance. Lombardo for the equalizer. Seaman with the right hand and the save. And Arsenal is an excited team. Seaman, an excited man. Sampdoria's Swedish coach Sven-Goran Eriksson said, to lose in such a way is a shame, a real shame, but you have to give credit to Arsenal. They never stopped fighting. A Sampdoria victory would have put Italian teams in each of the European finals. AC Milan, of course, through to the European Cup, while Parma plays Juventus in the UEFA. But the hero for Arsenal was keeper David Seaman. And Panathinaikos Wednesday in Athens. With the score 0-0, Panathinaikos was given a penalty in the last seconds of extra time. A pair of AEK players rushed the referee in dispute of the call. The ref emerged from the melee with a ripped shirt and sent both players off. Enraged AEK fans responded with a rampage where they broke seats and threw pieces of those seats onto the pitch. But the referee stood by his call, and after a 10-minute delay, Panathinaikos converted the penalty to claim the 1-0 win, and with it, the trophy. A crown, Shaq and the Magic. They've yet to win a playoff game, ever. The defending champion Houston Rockets, doubtful. The Pacers, Bulls, and Knicks might have a chance in the East, the Utah Jazz in the West. But what about the San Antonio Spurs? With the league's best record, they will have home court advantage throughout the playoffs, and that helps a lot. In Dallas, searching for their 60th victory, the Mavericks rooting for their man Jason Kidd to be NBA Rookie of the Year. Late in the game, look at Roy Tarpley throw down the slam and put the Mavs up by 2 on San Antonio. Still in the fourth quarter. Avery Johnson drives and puts San Antonio back up by 1. Now, 6 seconds to play. The Mavs need a bucket. Do they get it? Yes, George McLeod with a fantastic follow. Dallas up by 1 on San Antonio, but with just 1.6 seconds left, Sean Elliott catches, turns, shoots, gets fouled. Look at the arm to the head. That sends him to the line for 2 free throws. It would take them both to win it. He nails them. With just 0.5 seconds on the clock, San Antonio 112-111 over Dallas for their league best 60th win. What's going on in California? The Golden State Warriors at home, however, looking like gracious hosts to the Sacramento Kings. Chris Mullin gets it to go. Not enough of that for the Warriors. Look at Walt Williams, hustle underneath for Sacramento. Find Brian Grant for his second slam of this highlight segment. Warriors coach Bob Lanier says, push him, don't get a technical. Mullin got a technical. Mitch Richmond, watch this move. Stopping, starting, slashing, thrashing, getting it to go. The final, Kings 112-98. Sacramento still with a playoff hope.
In Chicago, Bulls in white hosting the Detroit Pistons. Misfire on the alley-oop. They go the other way. Grant Hill finishes for Detroit. Pistons up 6 after 1. Second quarter, no question about this one. Oh, Michael. Jordan off the alley-oop from Jed Buechler. Watch the extension. Gets about 12 feet in the air. Third quarter, it's Michael again. This time, the over-the-head feed from Tony Kukoc. Mike, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Scottie Pippen led the Bulls with 20. And how about this shot? Watch Pippen. Oh, yeah. The Bulls are looking good. With the playoffs approaching, they knock off Detroit 120-105. Numbers, please. Around the NBA, Chicago will finish 5th in the...
Rockets have not had a good season, and few give them much chance of retaining their title. They began their quest to prove the disbelievers wrong Thursday night in Utah, where they met the Jazz in Game 1 of their best-of-5 Western Conference playoff series. Working hard for his 45 points, Hakeem Olajuwon needed oxygen, and he could have used some air, too, as in Jordan, because nobody could stop John Stockton, 2 of his 28 right there. But Hakeem, just before the half, comes up with a big steal. Look at all these steps. But he gets it down, and that had Stockton and his coach, Jerry Sloan, all worked up. Stock got a tee, but that was about the only thing that could slow down Utah. Tom Chambers with a slam, Hakeem with the foul. Utah pulling away. Hakeem says, I did this. He did that. It was a foul, and then watch some more scores as Utah beats Houston 102-100. The Rockets play Game 2 against the Jazz on Saturday night. Houston cannot afford to go down 2-0 in this best-of-5. Now more hoops for you. The LA Lakers and Seattle Supersonics open their series Thursday night in Seattle. Look at Shawn Kemp with the no-look layup. That's beautiful. Sonics in total control against the Lakers. Kendall Gill gets a good look, gets the three-pointer to go. 40-26 Seattle in the second. Gill nice and close this time, no problem with the layup. And then LA trying to run down the clock. They run away from the ball, and Kemp waits for it. Nothing to keep him from slamming that one down. Magic says, I didn't do that when I was on the court with the Lakers. The best-of-5 series will continue Saturday night as well. Again in Seattle, where the Sonics will try to go up 2-0 on the Lakers.
Losing in Game 7 of the NBA Finals last year was hard to swallow for the New York Knicks, but with that now finally digested, the Knicks are back for more in 1995, and they've started the playoffs looking like a team determined to earn another shot at the championship. To Madison Square Garden for Game 1 between the Knicks and Cleveland Cavaliers. Knicks led by 3 after 1, but went on an 18-5 run to open up the second quarter. Charles Oakley with the strip and great hustle up ahead to Hubert Davis, who takes it in for the lay and gets fouled. Later second, Anthony Mason and Patrick Ewing play the two-man game, and Mason finishes loudly, 47-38 New York at the half. Then late in the third quarter, Oakley the alley-oop to Ewing. He throws it down with authority. The Knicks led by 20 after 3 and never looked back. They go on to win it by a final of 103-79. The Cavs missed 26 of 37 shots in the second and third periods, and that's when the Knicks really turned it on. Game 2 is Saturday in New York.
It was a great win for us and a great start, but really want to, keep it in perspective and get as ready as we can for Saturday.
It just simply boils down to getting a good old beating, and that's what we got tonight. The Knicks were excellent in so many aspects of the game.
We were big on the boards. We were unselfish. People made shots, so it was just a total team effort.
And in the night's other playoff game, the Indiana
Hornets mascot. And look at Muggsy to Kenny Gaddison. Nice pass, nice bucket. Charlotte up by 3. Chicago right in this one, though. Michael, not quite enough airtime to slam it home, but he gets the lay. Bulls up by 2 at the half. Third quarter, Michael stops, pops for 2 of his 48. And boy, did that last second miss by Mogs come back to hurt in overtime. The Bulls win it by 8. The final, 108-100. Jordan's 48 moved him past Larry Bird into 3rd place on the NBA's all-time career playoff scoring list.
Scotty being out, Tony got in early foul trouble. I took a lot of shots, but I just had to do what I had to do to get this team to a victory. I mean, we did a lot of communicating out there. We didn't play the type of basketball we want to play, but in the playoffs, you just got to scrap until you get a win.
That was Orlando's theme. The Magic at home against the Boston Celtics, searching for their first ever playoff victory. And look at Anderson get to the rim in the nick of time. He says, nice layup, huh? Not such a great dunk attempt, but this one was all Orlando. What in the world is Boston doing there? Larry Bird never took shots like that. Chris Ford, their coach, knows. And look at Shaq cleaning up underneath after they missed the layup. Gathers, hits and goes down. Oh, my elbow. He was up, he was okay. The Magic roll 124-77. The irony of this game, Orlando gets that first ever franchise playoff victory while Boston has a record 271. But this series looks like a mismatch in favor of the Magic.
To the West, where the playoff matchups have a bit more mystery, a bit more equity than those in the East. The exception, though, may be the Spurs and the Nuggets series. San Antonio comes in as the #1 seed. Denver is the #8. But remember, Denver was also #8 last year, and they pulled off the shocker against then #1 Seattle. Here we go. Nuggets in blue setting the tone for a physical series. Jalen Rose, flagrant foul on Avery Johnson. First quarter, Denver's Reggie Williams to Brian Williams. Puts the Nuggets up by 3. The Spurs, though, took over in the second quarter, really never looked back. David Robinson double-teamed over to Avery Johnson for the bucket. They were tied at 42 there, and the Spurs ran away with it. Third quarter, watch the teamwork off the miss. Vinny Del Negro, Dennis Rodman, Sean Elliott. He puts it away. He had 8 of his 21 in a crucial 16-2 third quarter run. The Spurs take the opening game of the best-of-5 series. Checking the numbers, 104-88 the final. Game 2, also in San Antonio, set for Sunday. The winner here faces the NBA Championship Series, is moving along nicely in a couple of playoff favorites. 2 teams advanced through round 1 Tuesday night, including the Phoenix Suns, who seem to have all the pieces in the postseason puzzle, including and especially a team leader. That man is this man, Charles Barkley, Suns superstar who has never won a title, leading his team past the Portland Trailblazers Tuesday. First half, the fadeaway. Nice touch there. Later first half, the turnaround jumper. Nice touch there. Still first half. The three-pointer. Did I mention? The guy has a nice touch. Golfer Peter Jacobson perhaps trying to get some of that touch for himself. Going with the head rub for a little luck. Second half, same story here for the 3. Chucks in 47 points, grabs 12 rebounds, almost single-handedly eliminates the Trailblazers in a 3-love sweep. 117-109 the final. Charles says, yeah, Portland's a nice place, but only for a little while.
I just wanted to try to do anything we could. We did not want to stay up here till Friday. We were very fortunate. We got off to a good start. That kind of took the crowd out the game, and we just, it was a great game from beginning to end. We played terrific.
So the Trailblazers are out, so are the Denver Nuggets, and so is their coach for that matter. Bernie Bickerstaff ejected Tuesday night as the Nuggets hosted the Spurs. San Antonio coach Bob Hill and the TV announcer both hit with coins thrown from the crowd. All this going on in front of NBA bigwig Rod Thorne. Third quarter action. Spurs in black looking for the 3-0 sweep. David Robinson, 24 points for him. Same story for Avery Johnson here. The 2 high men work the give and go. Robinson gives, Johnson goes, and the San Antonio Spurs are moving on. They win at 99-95, completing a 3-game sweep of the Denver Nuggets.
The Chicago Bulls against Charlotte Hornets, series tied at 1 apiece, and where's Michael? First quarter, Jordan on the loose, blows past Del Curry and puts up the left-hander of Alonzo Mourning. The Bulls up by 2. Bulls explode in the third quarter. Michael Jordan brings it up on the break and brings the house down with the left-handed jam. He had 25 points. Then Croatian Toni Kukoc, and what a big game he had, cutting the lane there for 2 of his 22 points. And then it's Kukoc again, banking it softly off the glass. Kukoc, the big game. 103-80 the final. Chicago, they now lead the best-of-5 series 2-1.
Yeah, there is a danger because we had such an easy game this game that, you expect the same the next game. I don't think that's where we should have, approached it.
For Sonics going down. The day after he was named NBA Coach of the Year, the Lakers' Del Harris made, in his own words, his smartest move to get L.A. past Seattle and on to the next round of the playoffs. Unfortunately for his counterpart, the Sonics' George Karl, Harris' stroke of coaching genius may cost Karl his job. The Lakers at home and Harris receiving that Coach of the Year award. He didn't like what he saw early. The Sonics driving hard. Nate McMillan misses. Sean Kemp there to clean up the mess. Seattle in the lead. They continued to press hard as Kemp fired up, and so was Kendall Gill, taking it to the hole. Rejected by Eddie Jones, but Gary Payton puts Seattle up by 9. Then the Lakers came back. Not Magic, but Nick Van Exel. 7 3-pointers. That tied a Lakers playoff record. Van Exel with 34, but it was Vlade Divac in the fourth quarter. The baby hook on the way to a 23-point, 11-rebound, 4-assist performance. The Lakers win the game 114-110. They also win the series. In the third quarter, L.A. fell behind by 11, and that's when Harris made his smartest move, bringing Divac off the bench with 4 fouls. Vlade's fantastic fourth quarter finished off the Sonics and made Harris look like a smart choice for Coach of the Year.
I've been quoted 1,000 times on it. Win the next game and win the championships. The only 2 goals that are worthwhile as far as I'm concerned.
I think this season has been more of a
bottom line probably is we weren't together enough to win the first round.
Because when we step on the floor, we should be able to want to play. And, you know, we didn't step up. So I think it's all 12 guys' fault, and that's the way it is.
So for the second straight year, the Sonics are missing from the scene after first-round playoff upsets. Remember, Denver did the job last season. That may mean the end for Coach Carl, this loss to the Lakers. Meanwhile, LA's task only gets tougher. They play San Antonio, while the Houston-Utah winner gets Phoenix in round 2.
The Chicago Bulls against the Orlando Magic in round 2. Michael Jordan against Shaquille O'Neal. The NBA must be loving the prospects of that matchup, and they're one half there. The Bulls wrapping up their first-round series against the Charlotte Hornets Thursday night. To Chicago we go for the action, and who else but Michael Jordan running the floor. He came out firing. He hits the 3 to beat the first quarter buzzer. Bulls up 30-25 after 1. Scottie Pippen came to play as well. He spins off Larry Johnson and gets the big jam. Pippen had 24. Bulls up by 4. The Hornets never back down, though. Hersey Hawkins hits the 3 in transition. Hornets open up the second half with a 9-0 run. But Michael Jordan, the turnaround fadeaway, he had 24. The Bulls led by 1 with seconds remaining, but Larry Johnson and Hersey Hawkins both missed game-winning jump shots, and the Bulls hung on for the 85-84 victory. So Chicago gets the job done. They take the series 3-1, and now await the winner of the Orlando-Boston series, which Orlando leads 2-1.
But what we have to do is really start taking the ball to the basket, and then it makes our threat outside a bigger threat for us. But we was able to maintain and stay in the game. We just got to start keeping that same type of killer instinct coming out the second half, and that's being aggressive offensively.
Next up, Cleveland. The Cavs trying to even their series with the New York Knicks. The Knicks come out launching the 3-ball. Derek Harper and John Starks taking turns to bury the tray. They hit 7 of 10 3-pointers in the first half, and the Knicks led by 11. Mark Price tried to keep the Cleveland Cavaliers in it, ducks under the defender and gets the baseline jumper to fall. Cavs down by 8. But Derek Harper caught fire. Threes are wild for him all night. He had 2 more threes for 7 for 10 on the night. He had 30 points in a game-high performance. The Knicks win it by a final of 93-80. So the Knicks shoot down the Cavs from long distance. Their 13 threes in the game was a team playoff record, and they'll hope to keep a hot hand as they prepare for Indiana in the second round.
We didn't want to push this series to a game 5. It was very important that we close this team out and get on to the next series with Indiana. We don't want them to have too much rest, but I think it's good that we had a chance to play and be ready for Sunday.
And that's the big picture in the East. New York has home court advantage for their second-round series with Indiana, and it's Chicago against either Boston or Orlando. The Bulls would have home court advantage over the Celtics, but not against the Magic.